another episode of Bitcoin Q&A. We are back. We're keeping the train rolling 2 days in a row this week. Today is Thursday, September 21st. I am your host, Q, and my other better half, Alex McShane, is over here to my left, right? I don't even know anymore. I can't tell my left to right. I need to stop mirroring my thing. But if you're new to the show, it's really quite simple. We'll be breaking down a few news stories, some fun ones for you today, and then of course, on our quest to 21 million questions about Bitcoin, we'll dive into those questions shortly. But I got
episode 13. Here we go.
I'm going to start with something that just I couldn't stop laughing, but Mama and Daddy SBF are in deep water. So, who do you want to start with, mom or dad, Alex?
The mom. I feel like the mom is somehow worse. I mean,
the mom is
looks like a Batman villain. And she's deeply tied to the Clintons, and yeah.
Oh no, that's not even that's like whatever. That's like a cool. All right, that's the public stuff. Let's dig into some of the things she was doing in private. So,
sounds good.
Of course, super Harvard-y, board of Stanford ethics, yada yada yada, all that BS. So,
aren't they Berkeley? Are they Berkeley?
No,
is that
Stanford.
Their alma mater?
Stanford.
Wasn't FTX at Berkeley for a while? The head of like Alameda, the trading firm, and FTX were all in one building at Berkeley. I thought SBF was a Berkeley guy.
No, they're MIT.
Yeah.
They're MIT. They were Jane Street traders.
Got it.
Both parents teach at Stanford. I think his dad went there. His mom went to Harvard. But I digress. So she was not only like the point person on the political donations and all of that stuff, she was like strong arming people for donations, and not like random people at FTX. And she was doing it in ways that she knew it was already sketchy, and was making a point to, and this is a quote, where since this is going to our 527, our political contribution machine, and hence it is disclosed, I'm assuming that Nasheed would be the better person to have his name on it. We'd have a slight preference for that on our end now that my connection to Sam is publicly known, because we don't want to create the impression that funding MTG is a family affair, as opposed to a collective effort by many people, including some mystery guy Nasheed Singh, smiley face. If that works on your end, I'll have an MTG employee send you instructions. Like, they very consciously made a point to go out of their way to try and make these campaign donations look legitimate when they knew they weren't, and then still got caught with their hands in the cookie jar. Again, just the tip of the iceberg. This is a quote.
Well, to the tune of, can you give some sense of scale here? I mean, it's millions and millions of dollars that they pulled knowingly from client funds, took out in loans, donated, all kinds of stuff.
So what I have, the numbers I have right now are SBF was, or his mom managed to get FTX to send over $5.5 million to Stanford University, where both her and her husband work. She also managed to, get a bonus of a $16.4 million luxury Bahama estate as far as part of her work on behalf of FTX. The dad did a lot more of the money on like what they got. The mom was very much just like the political machine. She called her relationship.
They're his PR, like crisis management team too.
Well, that was after they got caught, because they knew, honestly, like reading this.
Well,
like
and
summary,
before, this is how they got access to so much institutional debt.
Right,
they postured themselves for old money institution, when in reality, it's just Like it gave investors confidence knowing like, oh, okay, you got the Bankman-Frieds behind it, you know, looking after this kid. That's great. That's also how he was allowed to have bail and go back home to this, you know, very
Right.
safe and structured household.
But I think we need to separate because there's an element 100% that they were involved before the blow up, but they were not sort of these public facing figures of FTX. They were very much in the shadows. They would prefer to not be known that they were involved in FTX. And a lot of the quotes that have been pulled very much show that. Like one of her quotes is from the mom, "I'm his partner in crime of the non-criminal sort." And you get a sense that like these people knew what they were doing. And so once FTX blew up, that is why they got involved. That's why they became sort of the lead public voices, became his lawyers, because they knew they were so royally screwed if and when things got to this level. Here's another very interesting quote. Essentially, the first 70% of the quote is her telling Sam, SBF, "I would strongly counsel against giving a disclosed form under your own name, both for MTG's sake and yours." And then it continues on. "You can get Nasheed or Caroline to contribute to the PAC some of the total amount you are willing to give, but that has its own costs and risks." So they are very, very aware of the shady dealings that they're doing, and they're trying to put in the groundwork to prevent their names from being roped into all of this, but too little too late. And this is just the mom. The dad managed to give himself like, oh, could you imagine? Like this was laughable. So he's in charge of their finances. He was paid a $200,000 salary to do that. Now I talk a lot about like congressional salaries are bloated, and of course, why is that? Well, because they dictate their own salary. They decide if they get a raise. So of course, if your boss asked you, "Do you want a raise, and how much do you want?" You tell me you're not asking for a raise, and you're not going to push the limit to see how much you can get. So SBF's father, in charge of payroll, had a $200,000 salary that he then boosted up to $1 million a year salary. For what? What exactly was this man doing? Well, he played a key role in navigating tax issues for the FTX group, directed millions in charitable donations, and oversaw the FTX $1 million hackathon and crypto summit. In the final days before the bankruptcy, he tried to fly to the Bahamas to find capital sources for FTX and then try to, I guess, salvage FTX trading and sell it to Binance. He said to his wife, "I'm not sure how much more I can give without causing problems for me or FTX." Another quote that has been found of his: "We need to be more careful. The more we give, the more attention we draw." And then this is my personal favorite. Say what you want. I do want SBF's dad as my tax attorney, but to his wife and to SBF, the easiest way to add 10 million to the 250 million loan Sam has from Alameda, then Sam gives the money. No current tax on either transaction. Eventually, Sam recognizes income tax when the loan is paid off or canceled at the dividend capital gains rate, but that can happen in a year when he donates a lot, offsetting some or all of the tax. My goodness, I need a tax attorney as good as him.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're crooks here from the beginning, like deeply embedded with Sam. I found out they were in fact located at Berkeley. They were going to rename the Berkeley Stadium the FTX Stadium, and they just canceled that deal in light of all this. Yeah. But you're right. They're total MIT people. I think it's important to note, though, this is how all of these super wealthy political operatives do this. I mean, they're all really deep insider trading, like what can we get away with? And it's just a matter of when are you going to get caught? You know, I mean, if we look into any of the sitting senators that have suddenly become multimillionaires, if not, you know, billionaires from these deals, it's like kind of fishy. They just happen to be some of the best traders in the world running our country, you know.
Did you see this Pentagon report from last week?
No, what happened?
Okay. So the Pentagon released a study where they have found the latest threat to national security. Do you know what it is?
No idea.
Dementia in Congress. And the fear is that because members of Congress are so old, and we are starting to see a lot of them, Dianne Feinstein, Mitch McConnell, really showing signs of their age, the concern is that it's not just a matter of, oh, we have people who are old in Congress. It's that because they are old and very senior, they have access to certain classified documents that junior members of Congress don't get. So the fear is that, okay, well, Dianne Feinstein somehow has access to some of the most classified
documents. It's the same thing with Joe Biden. This guy should not have access to nuclear codes.
But the difference with Biden is he is the president. And so there's a little like,
he's still mentally handicapped.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't.
Here's the difference. Congress people still fly out of Reagan National Airport. Like, I remember when I was in school in DC, I would run into different Congress people at that airport. You are never running into the president of the United States.
Yeah.
So the fear is
they mingle with normies. They leak something on accident.
All of a sudden, Dianne Feinstein doesn't realize like she's talking to a Chinese spy, and she mentions
Mitch McConnell thinks he's on stand and he's really at Costco buying a hot dog.
Exactly. Like that's the larger concern here. And like both of these are hilarious. Celebrity politicians. Like maybe not Dianne Feinstein. Like being a Californian, I would recognize her, but I think most people wouldn't. Mitch McConnell. I would think most people
now people know who it is.
Yeah. Most people know who Mitch McConnell is. Unfortunately, like we shouldn't. I shouldn't know who the senator from Kentucky is, nor should he have this much influence over my life. Just a thought.
Yeah, we need to clear him out. I mean, and it's not even vote him out. I think we need a mass extinction event of senators, and you know. They're gonna age out of office here, but we got to stop electing these. There's got to be a cap, man. You can't be 70, 80 and entering your political career.
No, see,
that's nonsense.
So I used to agree with that, and then candidly, I was told that I'm being ageist, and I was like, "You're right, I am." So then that's probably not.
I don't care. Yeah, no.
So
I am.
Let them take
ageist.
a test.
That's fine. That's fine.
They have to take an extra cognitive test. Well, not technically cognitive, but like a vision test when they get their driver's license renewed after a certain age. Like,
no, they should have to take a cognitive test, but it shouldn't be one and done. They should have to. These people get in office when they're like 30. They never leave.
I'm saying like
they need to
every time
they need to do it every year.
Oh, you want every year?
I want it every day. I want them to do. They need to complete a Sudoku every fucking day if they're going to be in office.
Like, it only starts with one number. That's the only.
Yeah.
To start with.
Yeah. These should be the smartest people in the world, but they're not. You know, they're like among the most criminal, self-centered. I mean, the incentives are just terrible of this whole thing.
Well, yeah, we've ruined the incentives not only of our politicians but of our. Anything public facing at this point, our incentives have been destroyed. The educational system.
Oh yeah, that's long gone.
Should we dig
into some? Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I would even argue that like to a degree our healthcare system is public facing, and as a result, like it is also just a worthless POS.
Well, it's the advertising, like of the pharmaceutical industry, that's probably one of its greatest evils.
Well, that absolutely, but I'm even just like, I don't want to like overshare, but for example, my girlfriend's uncle, serious medical conditions, just had to move in with her parents, his brother, and her dad is like having a hard time refilling his prescription, and these are drugs that keep him alive. Like if he misses his pills, like he will have a heart attack. And the hoops he is jumping through just to get a prescription refilled, where if he doesn't, the consequence is death, is laughable how difficult they're making this. This isn't some opiate that someone would use to get, like, this is genuinely something that someone is taking to live. and we have too many hoops to jump through because our medical system requires you see a doctor and the doctor read a note and he sent the prescription to the wrong place, so you have to go see another doctor. Well, enough with all these middlemen.
Well, it's like that, and then it's the incentive for the doctor to sell you the more expensive medication, and then it's the cost of it, and then it's the insurance companies. It's crooked from top to bottom, and it's
100%.
impossible to navigate. And you just kind of pray that nothing happens to you. But generally, I found the further people stay away from that system, the healthier they are. You don't want to interact with these people. Any doctor you talk to is going to tell you you're sick. Like,
just don't play basketball at Pacific Bitcoin. Don't do it.
Did you see this? A bunch of grapplers and fighters were like, "Hey, you should come. We're doing a workshop at Pacific Bitcoin. Are you going to roll with us?" And I was like,
"Yeah, Ben Askren. Askren's doing like a workshop about."
Yeah, I brought all these fighters into Bitcoin, and they're not going to invite me to Pacific Bitcoin. I put P on that fucking main stage like 3 times. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Fuck Pacific Bitcoin. Stupid fucking airline hangar festival. No, they're going to take literally everyone I brought into Bitcoin, just invite them to their conference as well, fly them out and have them get same things. Let's make an analyst desk. Oh, where did that idea come from? Let's have a seminar. Where did that idea come from? Let's have these fighters color commentate on the conference. It's hilarious. Good for them though. I mean, it's probably not good for Bitcoin, but I'm a little bitter that our invites to these things get lost in the mail somehow.
I mean, I'm still waiting for an invite to a non-Bitcoin magazine conference, but also like still waiting for my invite to Bitcoin Amsterdam.
Fair. If you show up, I mean, I don't think it'll be hard for you to get in at all. Definitely give you a pass. The issue is getting there. How are you going to get there?
Yeah, I don't want to pay for a flight.
Yeah. It's tough out there, man. Like right now, I don't know. It's just all these companies are hurting. It's just there's no money to be had. This is the end of the bear market. It's hilarious to see. I mean, new entrants go through this. You know what I mean? For the first time, just like, where is the money? Where's the hope? You see John Carvalho and Alan Farrington going at it online. Just hilarious, like egotistical infighting. Oh, they're just going for it, man.
Honestly, some of these fights on Twitter though are just so childish. Is almost like a lazy way of phrasing it, but it is an accurate way of just you're bored, you have a little too much energy, you don't know where to direct it, and so you're having a tantrum. That's literally what I see on Bitcoin Twitter a little too much right now. But that's just
it's like ego posturing and these weird status games, and they don't do anything for Bitcoin. Like, no, they don't advance Bitcoin at all. And people seem to think their full-time job now is policing mind share and keeping out bad ideas, making sure Bitcoin doesn't get infected. They take this immune system analogy that was once referred to on Bitcoin talk forums, and they take it way too far, man. Your full-time job is not to be a fucking troll and to talk people down and to cast out and to scapegoat. That's ridiculous. Go build. Like, literally go build something. I don't like the loudest voices on Twitter haven't made anything. It's hilarious. I think you should be providing like constructive optimism and skepticism as well. But I think full-time trolling, not a real job. It's not useful to say, it's almost like that. You can see these weird genius Olympics among like the particularly nerdy Bitcoiners. It's like, who's the most brilliant dev or non-dev or startup founder. And it's just nobody cares about any of this. I want to see products that are going to make Bitcoin more prosperous. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, there's also another side of this that I have long been a critic of, which is the same people who would pound the drum to tell you how awful cancel culture is and clown world behavior. Are they themselves bringing, and I'm not asking, they are themselves bringing that part of clown world into the Bitcoin ecosystem by creating this like cancel culture of, oh, you believe this, so therefore you're like, stop. You're taking Bitcoin maximalism and twisting it into a cancel culture narrative, and that's not what it was ever meant to be. And it's not meant to be this like,
that's your largest contribution, you're basically not providing any value to the ecosystem.
no.
And as we grow, there are going to be worse and worse, lower kind of quality people coming in. And that's fine. Bitcoin's for enemies. I mean, but eventually it's going to be like your friend circle is not going to be only Bitcoiners, because only Bitcoiners is going to include everybody. And all goods and services are going to end up being priced in Bitcoin eventually. And it's not such a niche interest group anymore. And that's sad to see, but that's the way things go. That's the way things go with mimetic technologies. I mean, I think the same is probably true of Nostr. Right now, if you're not interested in Bitcoin, I mean, good luck on Nostr. There's not communities on there outside of that. It's very niche. It's very early stages. You're being different kinds of apps and kind of micro apps and services, but not a lot of content to fill them. Not a lot of new ideas. Not a lot of it's frankly, I mean, it's just not as kind of fun and diversified experience as going on one of these big centralized. But I think it's not all negative. Like, I think we'll get there. I think it's very early and it'll take time for these things to grow, just like Bitcoin. And then part of that growing pain will be, oh, this commons, this thing that I've been a part of since early times that I helped build. I don't like to see it change. How can it change? That's the problem with the Bitcoin culture too. Oh no. Within Nakamoto can do like crypto shit on Bitcoin. No, it's changing. It doesn't affect us. It doesn't affect me. It's outside of my control. I don't care. I don't care what other people do with their Bitcoin.
To your point too about like building stuff on Bitcoin, I think it's a really important exercise, a thought exercise to do around like, how do disruptive technologies actually become normalized? And it's not like, I'm going to shout out Mark Moss for like really walking me through this. And he gave this talk at BitBlock Boom, but it wasn't that we created the combustible engine and then everyone was driving a car, nor was it just the fact that Henry Ford like perfected the automation system. Like these are singular events that happened so close to each other. It wasn't just, okay, now we have mass produced cars. It was also, okay, we're also mass producing tires. We're also mass producing gas stations. We're starting to build out roads to actually drive the cars on. You have to build out all of these other things in the hope, not even a guarantee, in the hope that this technology, the combustible engine, can take off. And it did. Or look at the internet. It wasn't just the advent of the internet. Then you also had to create personal computers. Then you also had to create better microprocessors and better semiconductors. And then that eventually leads to the creation of the cell phone, which then leads to the creation of the iPhone. And now you literally have people whose entire jobs are tied to a phone app. A phone app. Explain that to someone who's been in a coma for 30 years. I dare you to.
Oh wait, how do I switch the view so it's both of us? There we go. Oh no, now I'm gone. Yeah, our jobs are pretty tied to phone. I tweeted this out yesterday. I don't know if my tweets are throttled or just like terrible nowadays, by the way. Oh my god. Just zero engagement. It's hilarious. Coming off, that's the hardest part of the bear market, is you have no reach on Twitter at all. But yeah. I totally lost my train of thought. Oh, if you're not working online, if you're not working virtually, you're probably not maximizing capabilities. I mean, that's a fact of it. If you're just working in the real world, there's just so much friction tied to everything you do. You're basically renting out your time. Instead of buying equities, instead of buying a piece of a thing and getting involved in Bitcoin and doing the proverbial, this phrase is kind of annoying, but like letting your money work for you. I mean, you got to get online somehow, some way. I mean, working off the app is not bad. It's quite nice to have so much free time to do what you want and to be kind of, you kind of return to the status of a creative. Look at Q, artistic genius. Gets to, keefing all day, thinking up bigger next great business. But Yeah, I think not to say that there's anything wrong with blue collar work. Definitely been there. That's like most of the work I've done throughout my life. Kind of evolve with the times here. If you're a laggard to adopt these technologies, like I met a woman the other day who has a business, she doesn't accept any form of online payment. She was like, "Mail me a check." I was like, "A check?
Dude,
The
my
fuck is that?
landlord.
What are you talking about?" She's like, "Or you could put money in my mailbox." I was like, "Lady, you're only like 50 years old. What the hell is going on here? Like, get your phone out."
Dude, my landlord was like, "Do you have a money order?" I was like, "What?" I was like, "Can you
I
send
don't
me a
even know what that
link to
is.
pay on?" She was like, "There's a 2.5% fee." I was like, "No, the 2.5% fee comes out of your end because no." And then bro, I literally was like, "I can go get cash." It's like, "No, I don't accept cash." I was like, "What? You want a
Yeah.
money order, but you don't want cash? Like, what?"
Our our cultural kind of like education around money is so bad, man. And I understand it because we're all victims of it. Like any Bitcoiner that's been through a cycle, a couple cycles knows it's just like you didn't know anything about economics or math or money or scarcity or payment systems and solutions and products and services. You don't recognize any of it. It's like you can't see the wood for the trees. You're just trying to stay afloat. You're like, I will try to accumulate some of these dollars in any form that someone's willing to give me them. I'll rent out all of my time and just kind of you're just on this forever treadmill. When you really gotta, I guess what I'm trying to say is you need to step back and let technology work for you. This isn't the early 1900s anymore. Work. If you can read and write, you can definitely find a job online and find something to do that gives you virtual access to billions of people. And I think it's a great way to exchange kind of Bitcoin for those goods and services, make a business. I don't know. Just some thoughts when it comes to stacking, because it feels like now is, I mean, it kind of always feels like this, but it feels like now is more important time than ever to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible, because that price, year and a half, 2.5 years from now, it's going to get old for someone that just like works in a grocery store to accumulate a whole coin. And we've talked has to be a goal, but you want to be on the early end of that price appreciation. You don't want to be scrambling to catch up later. It's not fun, believe me.
Yeah, don't wait for BlackRock to validate Bitcoin as something because by then it's too late.
Yeah, I mean, part of that, look, we got a little excited too about BlackRock, but dude, they invest in everything.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It's passive index.
I was reading something
It's
on
not direct investment. Go ahead.
dude. No, so honestly, I'm gonna walk you through this because I thought it was such a crazy podcast that I listened to, the Corbett report, where this guy is like, "Oh, you want to get some groceries, so you go to Walmart," and then points out that BlackRock is the second largest shareholder of Walmart. What do you want to buy at Walmart? Well, you want to buy some Coke, so BlackRock's the third largest shareholder of Coke. Well, you know what? You also need to get your vaccine boosted. So go and get your sixth Moderna booster. And who is the third largest shareholder of Moderna? BlackRock. Don't forget to get gas on the way home. And
What
BlackRock is
kind of
the
fucking day is this? I'm gonna go to Walmart, buy Coke, get vaccinated,
then go get gas. And then
then go get gas.
and then the best is you forgot some stuff at Walmart, but don't want to drive anymore. So you go on Amazon,
There you go.
Amazon. BlackRock is the second largest shareholder. ExxonMobil, BlackRock is the second largest shareholder as well. Like they
But we gotta give specifics, because it sounds like, I mean, right so far this is like a rant my stepdad would make or something about how capitalism and big corporations are the problem. That's not the problem. The problem is the revolving door between governments and corporations and the collusion, insider trading. That's the issue.
Well,
and
right,
monopolies too, but I'm not going to rely on the government to bust those monopolies for anything. I mean, I don't want to.
No, I don't want to rely on the government, but I think it's important to your point about that revolving door between government officials, unelected government officials, to be very specific about this, because it's not typically your Mitch McConnells who served in public office that were voted in that are then going to go sit on the BlackRock board. It's the people that work for McConnell who then will go and get these types of jobs. Like,
Good distinction.
another perfect example of this is a Gary Gensler. Gary Gensler is not an elected official. He's an appointed official. These appointed officials are the ones
that tried to
these jobs.
join the board of Binance.
Yeah,
that's part of the conspiracy theory. I mean, they're all going for him.
I want to pull this thread for a second.
Go ahead.
Let me pull this thread though. So you
cook.
have this revolving door, and you have government officials going into BlackRock. Well, what is their job going to be? Their job is to figure out how to deal with their old colleagues in government to allow BlackRock to continue to go deeper and deeper into things that it recognizes it should not be allowed to do. It shouldn't be allowed, because at a certain point, once you have, I believe it's over 2.5% of the outstanding shares of a company, you have to publicly disclose that you are not a majority, but a major shareholder. And more often than not, when you're a major shareholder, you get a say in who's on the board, and you sometimes even get to put one of your people on the board. So you're telling me that BlackRock having someone on the board of Walmart, Coke, ExxonMobil, Amazon, and then also having the government in its back pocket, that itself is not a problem? That, yes, because they're able to influence the government, then they're able to do whatever they want to society, and nothing is going to stop them because the people that would theoretically enforce them actually work for them.
Yeah, and they're benefactors, they're cantillionaires. So it's like a perpetual motion machine. I mean, they can keep foregoing the consequences or exporting the consequences into other nations and basically the lower class and extinguishing the middle class.
Have you read The Invisible Billionaire?
No, never heard of it.
So it's a investigative biography on a man called Daniel K. Ludwig. Daniel K. Ludwig was at one point in somewhere around like the 60s to 80s, he was the richest man in the world. But he wasn't like an Elon Musk type. He wasn't like a Bill Gates type. He wasn't even like a Howard Hughes or John D. Rockefeller. He was like in the shadows. He would scrub his name off of documents. He was king of using like foreign companies to avoid American taxes, to maximize his profits.
Sounds like a smart man.
So here was my big takeaway, because I read his book. I had also read John D. Rockefeller's biography. I'm about to dive into Elon Musk. I read a ton about Warren Buffett as well, and a lot of these very, very successful billionaires. The consistent thread between them all, and this is an unpopular opinion, and I don't give a shit.
Breaking the law.
No, like, back whatever you want to say about me being wrong with actual facts, because I've got receipts. All of them used, strong-armed, paid off, did whatever to the government to allow themselves to take leaps forward. And then once they did, turned around to the government and created these regulatory moats.
Yeah.
My whole argument is that these billionaires are an unnatural phenomena within the ecosystem of capitalism. And in fact, if you create real competition, these billionaires would have never reached the levels of wealth that they had, because they weren't continuously innovating and growing. They were simply closing the door behind them so that they remained the only girl at the dance, so everyone would hit on them. Daniel K. Ludwig was notorious for stealing government contracts, from preventing other shippers from building ships, from busting up other shipping operations, and was just, the reason why he knew how to do it was because his first venture, he got screwed over by the government. So when he started his second venture, the first thing he did was go, let me get the government in my pocket. Let me get the government deals that I need and pull those strings, because that's the only way I can be successful. John D. Rockefeller famously, Teddy Roosevelt's entire campaign was, let's break up Standard Oil. Like, this is a monopoly. Teddy Roosevelt didn't break up Standard Oil. You want to know why? Because the second he would leave that speech and say, we're going to break up Standard Oil, walk off the stage and get a check from a Standard Oil executive. And it wasn't until his successor came into power and Taft.
How does Bitcoin provide a solution to this, though? Because that just sounds like human behavior. That's competitiveness. That's, if you're going to take the path of light and good, God bless you, but someone else who's willing to step on people's necks is going to get the job,
Yes and no. I think part of it is the fact that you have an easy money system that allows these type of things to be created. That if you had, like, I'm going to jump around a little bit, but Elon Musk, why is Tesla so inherently successful? Well, because Obama wrote a massive check and gave them a huge loan and a huge grant to bootstrap the company to really launch EVs. Look, Tesla has paid off that loan, paid the interest back. So it was technically, from a pure financial viewpoint, it was a sound and good investment for the government to make. But why is the government making a bet on an electric vehicle company?
Well, the government's not different than a large corporation.
But the point I'm making is
they, great,
they would never be able to make that type of a decision if there was a sound money system. You wouldn't be able to create regulatory moats around the next class of shipping tycoons that wanted to come after Daniel K. Ludwig, because you needed all of the tax dollars from every single business. You couldn't just rely on one business operating at maximum capacity. You need every business operating to collect taxes to generate revenue for yourself, because you're not printing money. That's literally how Bitcoin stops this.
Yeah, that's
Bitcoin
fair.
would
So what you're saying,
a real free market.
What you're saying is conservation of mass and atoms in economics. Like, you can't double spend, you can't super overextend yourself for dozens of years in a row, and just kind of walk out of it because you're printing and bail yourself out. That makes a lot of sense. I still think you'd see these things on smaller scale. I don't think Bitcoin fixes human competitive kind of violent nature, and especially with regards to business. I don't think it fixes malicious actors, but you're right. It could go a long way if we can manage to destroy the Federal Reserve, to prevent them from propping themselves up through this kind of revolving door / propeller that just keeps these large corporations and the government so far out of reach.
Like, if you don't have a debt-based monetary system, a lot of these zombie corporations that, they issue junk bonds, they issue more stocks or whatever, they would have a harder time.
You're not saying that debt disappears on a Bitcoin standard, though, because debt's as old as time.
No, debt won't disappear, but the ease of access to debt, which we have today, again, due to the fact that when you go and get a loan from the bank to buy a car or buy a house, they print that money now. So they created more dollars into circulation.
No, you have to collateralize, actually.
Exactly. There needs to be no, debt will never go away, nor should it. Debt is a necessary evil, if you will. I'm more in that camp. But if used properly and used efficiently,
it's evil. I'm paying a premium on money now for. Yeah, you're paying a premium for money now. I mean, if you and I came to some sort of agreement where I were to give you a loan, there's nothing evil about that. You're coming at it from an Islamic standpoint.
No, but I do know that side of it very well. My basis of it is the fact that many of the loans that we have now and that we've seen blow up, especially in 2008, as they
are predatory.
Exactly. And
I agree with that.
That goes away. That you only have that because it's easy to make money and you have a debt-based system that helps perpetuate the money printer. You want these predatory loans because it looks like your economy is growing, when in fact, when it blows up, it will blow up worse and worse each time.
Yeah, you're mortgaging like a $1 million house to someone with $200 in the bank. Like that's an issue.
Also, and this was something that I've been researching this week, but pretty much every financial crisis that we've seen, I'd argue since Bretton Woods, is actually a debt-based financial crisis. The root cause of '01 was all of these companies going into tech trying to become a .com company, and they're taking on loans to do that. Oh wait, it's just fucking mortgage loans. Like,
yeah, it's debt, but it's debt accelerated by massive amounts of printing.
sure,
That's where these bank loans come from. That's what
but
money printing is.
but the thing is, like, the Great Depression wasn't caused by debt. It wasn't because everyone had a massive mortgage and 2 cars. Like, no, the Great
No, it was
Depression,
a variety. It was a whole environment of factors surrounding the war. But yeah,
it was poor financial planning. Not that we were in debt, but it was just simply like we took ourselves off the gold standard and we tried to just put ourselves right back on it at the same price point, and it wasn't working. It's like you dented the piece that goes into the groove, and then when it's not fitting properly, you're like, why? I didn't dent it, but you broke it. You broke your toy, and now it doesn't play properly, and then you deal with the Great Depression.
right. But the repercussions of that aren't noticed by those in power because
No, of
to
course
them
not.
it's actually like magic. Oh, instead of $1,
Oh, I'm not
on
paying
the
more in
back
the
dollar,
grocery
I have
store.
2. Wait, I can fractional reserve bank this, loan it out kind of 13 to 1. Okay, cool. As a banker, you have no reason to complain about that. That's
All right, so I
exciting
feel
stuff.
like the question that we answered here was, will debt exist in a Bitcoin standard?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that is the first question that we've answered thus far.
Absolutely, it will. But we should come back to this kind of this question of monopolies and what happens with these huge corporations on a Bitcoin standard. I think it's interesting. Very well prepared for that question today, but we should definitely come back to that.
Okay.
I think it's an
So you want to go
interesting
to,
future.
should we hit our questions? Because we've been going down the
Yeah,
rabbit hole for a while here.
yeah. Let's do it.
All right. Let's start with, how do hardware wallets enhance security for Bitcoin? Oh,
We already covered that. Sorry, we got to mark that one off.
wait,
We
no.
did that yesterday. Did we not cover that? Well, we can cover that easily.
Just
Hardware
I
wallets.
don't think we did. I think we did something similar, but not exactly this. Wait, no, we did. No, we did, because it's on the tickers.
Let's go. Next one.
All right. When do I use multi-sig versus passphrase?
That's to you. Actually, question David Bailey posted yesterday was sharding as opposed to passphrase, like Schnorr signatures. Multi-sig versus passphrase, they're similar. They have trade-off. I feel like we've answered a question sort of this before too, but 2 of 2. So if you lose one or the other, you're shot. Multi-sig or M of N, can't remember which one, but meaning you can set a quorum. It could be 2. It could be 2 of 100. It could be 99 of 100. So you need a quorum of signatures to sign for a transaction. So there's some kind of interesting things you can do with multi-sig that gives you room for fault tolerance that aren't possible with passphrase. But if you're sitting at home with just like a Sats card or I don't know, like a fucking ledger or something, you might want to consider passphrase because you have a single point of failure. Someone scoops up that device, brute force it. Now they do that and you have a passphrase on there. They're not even gonna know. They're gonna find a decoy wallet filled with, I don't know, a couple sats, something, maybe nothing, but maybe you fill it up, maybe you put a little decoy on there. Yeah, so passphrase is pretty cool, but the thing is, you have to have secure backups. I mean, unless you're really kind of freeballing it and trying to memorize it, you have to have secure backups of both the passphrase and your 12 to 24 word seed phrase or your seed phrase. So it seems a little risky to me. I mean, you're like one house fire away from just not having any access to your funds, and steel plate backups are kind of a risk too. Keeping a steel plate backup in your home is like just kind of begging to get
Wait, but like, if I keep my passphrase next to my hardware wallet, I'm fine though, right?
No, there's no point to have one then. Failure. You could do what I do for fun, which is keep like decoy pins around. I mean, I don't have any like hardware wallets in my physical location. I have the wallets, but not like the real McCoy. You know what I mean? Like the real wallets, because it's just too risky. You're just begging someone to come in and torture you for your seed phrase. But you can keep destruct pins that'll like brick your device, or lock the device for X number of days or years. There's a lot of really funny things you can do as decoys.
I have I have like 18 different Bitcoin wallets. There's only like 6 with actual Bitcoin in them. And then
hold on.
Mix and
You
match.
went you went from having one single Bitcoin address a week ago to now having 18 hardware wallets. Something doesn't add up here.
Maybe I've just never been honest.
All of your hardware wallets are part of the same scheme, so they all have all of your hardware wallets signed for one address. You have.
I will say this:
instead of a single point of failure, you have 18 points of failure.
I have more than
they're all at your house.
I have more than 3 hardware wallets. I will be honest about that, but I won't give you the exact amount. Right, but I play like mix and match, so I have 3 fake passphrase like setups that are on the wallet itself. So it literally looks like this would be the passphrase to get in. And then on top of that, I have a second passphrase that's a real passphrase for a wallet that's in a completely different geographical location. I think my system is
geographical location. I don't think. First of all, you should never reveal your system. But
so
if you have
I will reveal. I'll tell you the exact
phrase.
No, I'll give you the.
He's like, oh, it's in a safety deposit box, dude.
No. So what I do is I found a bear that lives up in Yellowstone, and I became friends with it and gave it a hardware wallet.
This is not the kind of bear you're thinking at home, folks. This is
it's a big grizzly bear, very brown, sharp teeth and claws. But I brought it a picnic basket, and in the picnic basket, in addition to some honey ham and a jar of honey, there was a Bitcoin wallet, and I gave it the Bitcoin wallet, and it understood, ate the Bitcoin wallet, and assured me it would never ever poop it out until I came back to get it from him. So that's where one of my wallets are.
He's got one Bitcoin address. He's still working on Nostr. Do you have a NIP5 on Nostr yet?
The fuck no.
No? You're dragging a random ass unverified account.
If someone wants to help me do this, like I'm no, it's definitely me. But I like.
Do you own any websites? Do you have a domain?
No.
You must. Nothing?
No.
You're not. I figured you'd be the kind of guy that's squatting on a bunch of domains.
I tried to play that game for a little bit, and it was not as
expensive, bro.
It was not as fruitful as they led you to believe on those TikTok videos.
Yeah, from like 1990. I mean, getting in that game now is. I still have a domain for this show that I haven't done anything with. The market's too terrible. If I can find some web designer with no sense of self-worth that will build us a website for like $100, I'll make something of it. But otherwise, I gotta wait till the bull market to build this website.
No, I have our web designer lined up. It's literally just a question of, do we want to pull the trigger on this?
No, dude. I'm already going broke paying you guys.
What? When I haven't gotten my direct deposit.
Yeah, you're on hold. You're on hold right now. I think you got some sats though, dude. You got some pretty special sats today. So I put a new goal of bringing you to Nostrasia in Japan, and BTC Sessions joined the show today and donated to you 1,000 sats. Yeah, this guy called the kids going off in the comments. Shout out to him. Probably the most comments we've ever gotten are from the kids. So this is awesome. I'm gonna zap him right now.
Shout out our viewers on Nostr. Shout out our viewers on Rumble, Twitter,
YouTube.
Watching on YouTube.
Get trusty YouTube. Yeah, super sats today. Great day. kind of a shame that there's nothing going on in the world. It's just a crap market. Everybody's in pain, probably going to feel worse pain. Dude, I was on and people were dead ass predicting that Bitcoin was going to go to 12 and 8K and that they were sitting on the sidelines with no Bitcoin, waiting to buy Bitcoin at 12 and 8K. And that just made me feel so much better about myself and life in general, because that is like the biggest cognitive dissonance I've seen in a while. I mean, that's absurd. That is insanely risky, and they're going to be left completely without. You got to get it while you can. I mean, 27K is super cheap. Not even 27, 26.5 at this time. Super duper. Not complaining at all to scoop it up at this price.
I mean,
that's the problem, man. When no one wants to buy, you got to be buying. It's the cycle.
Yeah, the broader issue is just this idea of like, oh, I'm waiting for it to crash. Is really what you're doing is you're trying to time the market. And when too many people are doing that, when too many people have a certain expectation, the market knows. Market has a weird way of always knowing and never getting exactly to the level that you want. Do I think there's at least one more flash crash before the bull market really picks up? But I am in that camp. I have some dry powder, but that's not stopping me from buying on a daily basis still.
The halving itself is months and months away. We have a long lot of bear market left.
We have plenty of time for someone to fuck up the financial system.
I say this every show just to give people an idea of time frame here. You've got 6 to 18 months after the halving historically before that gets priced in. So you have so much time. Not that you should be waiting around to scoop cheap Bitcoin. I'm just saying between now and then, anything could happen.
We are 2 years away from the new all-time high. Mark my words. October of 2025 will be the new all-time high.
You're doing exactly the thing you just recommended against. There is no specificity. All specific predictions about Bitcoin are wrong. Only directional and only cyclical theses have been proven correct.
Yeah. So the cyclical thesis is that the new all-time high has been reached by Bitcoin 18 months after the halving.
No.
After each of the three halvings.
It's 6 to 18 months.
Go look.
I charted this out. I have a whole website charting this out. It's historically between 6 to 18 months. I'm the only one who talks about this. It's either 6 to 18.
You're the only one talking about trading Bitcoin.
No.
But that's to send to you.
No. That specific time frame, though, no one gets it. Even Rizzo's like, oh yeah, no, it's 6 months after the halving. I'm like, no, it's not. Historically, 6 to 18 months. We don't know. Somewhere within there. Maybe it's a new range. Maybe it breaks that. Maybe it's 2 months. I think the amount of people learning about Bitcoin and adopting it in the institutions will change this dynamic. I don't think it changes it to super cycle. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I think the halving gets priced in potentially sooner. Now, I don't have the hopium that an ETF is going to send us to 50K. I've been hearing some ridiculous predictions about that. I don't know if an ETF is going to do anything for Bitcoin, frankly. We'll see, right?
Ooh, I got a month with that.
Let's see. We've got a month here. Hey, SBF's trial, I believe, also starts in October, or one of the trials. I don't know how many he's involved in, but so we've got an exciting month coming up. But yeah, I think crab market and lows, but you got to let the halving come and go, let these institutions warm up and accept that we are in fact in the bear and start loading up again. You know,
just build, man.
Build. Just cook, bro. Hey, we're here building. That's the premise of the show. We got we're the media now. You know, Dave Portnoy, we would have never written that article about you. Dave Portnoy, friend of the show, longtime contributor and best pal.
Oh yeah,
we would have never.
Best pal. Let's hit at least one more question. So, if Bitcoin was mainstream, how much would you need to be well off?
Whoa, the gold market cap's like 14, 15 trillion right now.
Because if I
So
thought it was
that's like,
20.
is it? Am I fucking it up? I think it's
Oh no, you're right. 12.8 trillion.
12. Okay, so 25x. So we're at half. We're at 500 billion, something like that for Bitcoin. So that's a 25x to subsume the gold market cap, which is a pretty interesting indicator. I like it. I don't think it's gonna happen overnight. That's like years and years away.
That's like
But
over $625,000 per Bitcoin price. If we were just at the market cap, actually, no, if you were just at the $12 trillion market cap, so like almost all of gold's market cap.
yeah, you've got. Yeah, that's correct. So 625,000 per Bitcoin.
But
Yeah,
that's like,
the 25x. I think it's a good marker for wide societal adoption. I mean, that's huge. Back when we were at 1 trillion, it felt huge, but 12, 13, anything over 10, I think is more like, okay, we're really cooking now. The average person will never have a Bitcoin. We're talking sats are the standard. You know what I mean? If you are loading up on Bitcoin now and you've got a couple, I mean, you're going to be a millionaire in that time. And I think it's only a few years away. So I think,
I
how much
disagree
would
with
you
that.
need to be well off? You disagree with that? How could that's math? If you have a couple
I,
Bitcoin, it's worth 625,000.
right, but I don't think that that's as
millionaire.
around the corner as you think it is. I think we're a couple cycles away from that.
I mean, yeah, I agree. Yeah,
fair.
We've got one coming up here. Probably I think one of the biggest jumps in cycles is coming though. Like with these institutions and the influx of just like the memetics of the internet, it's going to be huge.
See, I think the biggest jump was the first jump, because that historically is how it should get smaller and smaller, and it has been getting smaller and smaller.
It should, but the biggest we're going to see since the most appreciating asset of all time. Yeah, like on a relative terms, we'll see what happens. But I think, okay, the vast majority of the world is institutional accredited investor capital. That's 90% of period. And most of it is not in Bitcoin. And once it comes in, I think crazy things are going to happen. And I don't think being a millionaire more. I mean, you can't rest on your laurels on $1 million, even $2 million. You're gonna have to have 4 or 5. You're gonna have to have four or 5 Bitcoin at least.
Yeah,
to be middle class, which in my opinion is well off. Like, what does well off mean?
Well, the things that you got to account for when you're trying to figure out your own calculation of this is like, how many years are you expecting to live off the Bitcoin, and what are your expenses?
Yeah,
like,
how old are you? Yeah.
If you need $50K a year for the next 10 years, you could arguably get away with 2 Bitcoin. If you need
$50K a year
for 10 years only,
that's a lot of money, bro.
But like, I'm saying, like
that's like $4K a month.
I mean, realistically, I'm talking, you are not working.
You're spending.
You're living off
You're spending.
All you're doing is living off of your Bitcoin.
And spending. 50K a year. But yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah, you have to calculate that. I don't know.
I mean, is it though? I feel
that's
like
a lot of money,
all
bro.
you
That's a
make is
lot of
50K
froth. If you're spending 50K a year, you are a well-fed boy. You are a.
I guess purely from a spend this much money. I'm more looking at it from the aspect of, like,
if you're spending 50K a year, you're not saving Bitcoin.
But
you don't have a Bitcoin yet.
I'm not looking at it from the lens of just spending. I guess the lens I'm looking at this from is, how much do you need to quote unquote make to survive? And the assumption that I'm at least operating under is you still have to pay some taxes here. So you're going to liquidate 50K worth of Bitcoin, pay taxes on whatever you need to, and then live off of for the next year, whatever else you have. And that includes all of your living expenses. If you have rent or a mortgage, car payments.
I think by that time though, Q, I think you'll be able to pay for a lot of these things in Bitcoin. a lot of these goods and services. So I think the capital gains tax is going to have to go away if these institutions get too involved.
Oof.
Look at how the accounting rules changed, man. Things change.
I guess, but I mean, I have a hard time believing that citizens are going to sit back while cap gains taxes are waved away, but income taxes are raised.
Can they get any higher?
They will.
Income taxes are obscene.
They're so high, but they're
going to be voluntary taxes because you can't force people to fork over their Bitcoin. There's going to be real protests about this, I think.
I agree, but
you don't want to say it on air, but yeah, I mean, I think that's the truth.
I don't want
Dude, I'm tired of watching my money go to
against me.
I don't either, but I don't want to watch my money go to fucking Zelensky. Like, I don't want to watch my money fund these horrible public school, like state propaganda machine institution. I mean, these miserable, like unqualified teachers, you know, these brain dead students. It's just all of our money is being put to causes that actively harm society. I've said that we'd be better off if the government just burned our taxes and our dollars would be worth more. They wouldn't be as debased and everyone would get more value for that. It's the actual allocation of capital by the government that is nefarious and ruining society. And I think people have almost had enough. I mean, look at what you get in the average American city for all your taxes.
True. But
isn't it
you sound a lot like ETH Maxi.
What do you mean?
You want to burn your dollars?
Yeah, I do. But I'm just saying, I don't know. Just isn't it interesting that these cities are completely falling apart? I mean, and then you go to a place like Miami, Florida. You know, not the greatest city in the world by any means. It's pretty cushy, but dude, it's somehow cleaned up. They don't pay state income. Like, where does that come from? You know what I mean? The government doesn't need these taxes. They can just print. And it's the cause and it's all of our forever wars are predicated on this. It's the taxation and the silent money printing. They would not be possible. In the old days, you had to raise money to go and have a war, and wars ended because people ran out of money. And we need to bring those days back. We need to defund these people, need to destroy the Federal Reserve. All right, how do we want to wrap this up?
I think destroying the Federal Reserve is the best way to wrap this up.
Okay. All right, let's put together a plan to do that.
I mean, it really is quite simple. Just opt out. Buy some Bitcoin.
Well, we should discuss the question. Bitcoin is opting out because there's a lot of people that take issue with that, and they have reasonable arguments. But we can do that another show.
Yeah, I mean, we in this country, in America at least, don't have systems that will allow us to actually properly use our Bitcoin. So that needs to change for us to actually be able to successfully opt out. Because right now, unpopular opinion, but I would argue that maybe not the majority, but a much larger percentage of Bitcoin holders than we want to admit have an eye on selling Bitcoin for fiat dollars at some point in the future.
Most.
So that,
and they're not spending. They're not using Bitcoin. That's
exactly.
You have to spend your Bitcoin. Spend and replace. I don't care how you do it, but this thing doesn't grow if we don't spend Bitcoin.
But on that note, we'll be back tomorrow for the final episode of the week. DM us some questions. Let us know what you are grappling with. Let us know some of the arguments you're having with family, and we'll help craft your argument for you. Shoot us a DM, write a comment. Let us know what questions you've got.
Just call into the show. We'll give you Q's number on screen. You could just call
we should make like a voicemail hotline number and then play the voicemails when we're answering the questions.
The kid says Q a clown. we got a lot of comments today. Shout out to everyone on Zap That Stream. This is awesome. Makes the stream way more fun. All right, guys. See you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern.
Adios.